Welcome to Islamic Life Coach School Podcast. Apply tools that you learn in this podcast and your life will be unrecognizably successful. Now your host, Dr. Kamal Akhtar.
Hello everyone. Peace and blessings be upon all of you. Today we're going to talk about victim mentality because that is one of the most common thought errors that goes undetected. This in itself is a cause of a great deal of unnecessary suffering. I was totally suffering from victim mentality but didn't recognize it. So in this podcast, I want you to keep an open mind where you might be unconsciously practicing victim mentality. Because without an open mind, you will never get to correct the errors that are causing turmoil in your life. So I'm not saying that you are in victim mentality. All I'm saying is that you stay open to the possibility and see if you're accidentally falling for this type of error. Along with victim mentality, we also talk about triggers today, and that is because they are very much related. In terms of CTFAR, circumstances, thoughts, feelings, actions, and results, our circumstances are everything outside of us. Things that are outside of us do not cause our feelings. Our thoughts do. And if you haven't learned anything from my podcasting for more than a year, I'll say it again. Actually, I'll shout it from the rooftops if that's what it takes for people to start seeing how this design actually works. Nothing outside of you causes your feelings. Your thoughts do. Nothing outside of you is responsible for outcomes in your life. Your thoughts are responsible for them. When we are being triggered by our environment, it's because we have accidentally attached our feelings to the circumstance. When we are in victim mentality, we have accidentally attached our results or our outcomes with the circumstance. Both are the same type of a mistake because they're both omitting our thinking from the picture, where our control actually lies. So you can imagine when someone is working under the doctrine of completely ignoring their point of control, how topsy-turvy their life will be. Luckily, it is a type of a mistake, and like any other mistake, it can be fixed. So all my life, I was considering myself to be a strong, independent woman, but it turned out whenever I was associating my emotions with my circumstance, I was practicing victim mentality. And this was happening outside of my awareness because nobody ever taught me this. I was frustrated because of burnt dinner, upset because of forgotten grocery item, really angry at my husband because he brought white bread instead of whole wheat bread, boiling over when the cleaning lady showed up 2 hours after her scheduled time, and on and on and on. Then imagine the state of my misery when I was having frustration for having these first world problems. I was having judgment for myself on top of all of these emotions. I was walking around like a built-up bundle of emotions, like a volcano ready to burst at the slightest trigger. I absolutely hated myself for it, but didn't know how to stop. Now, you might have a tendency to judge me, especially after I tell you that there are women out there who seek coaching with me that have been sexually abused starting at the age of 4. These women are so wound up in their past that despite of having an apparent functional life, they are very deep in victim mentality. And you might judge me saying that here I am crying a river about my white bread. How can I compare that to real problems? To that I will say that nothing is comparable in that sense. Whatever your mountain to climb is your work. Just pay attention to what circumstance, past or present, might be keeping you hostage. Also be very careful because victim mentality in these cases is going to feel very justified, especially when somebody has wronged you or harmed you in the past. You're going to feel like everyone else has their act together, and you're going to want to control everything around you just so you can finally have some peace. So in those cases, victim mentality is going to feel really justified. Everyone around you is going to want to empathize with you, feel sorry for you. That's their way of showing their support. But that's just burying you further deep into victim mentality. And I will explain how. So I want you guys to start thinking of life as 2 different environments. One that is outside of you, and one that is inside. You might think that the outside environment is complex, but your internal environment is extremely rich and complex in itself. It mostly consists of your thoughts and feelings. These are invisible to others. We take actions based on these thoughts and feelings, and most actions are observable by others, but some are not. especially if you're taking mental action. Your emotions have a physicality to them, and your brain feeds off of this physicality. Emotions lead to further thoughts that lead to further emotions. This bidirectional highway is most of the mind drama and the brain action that women are stuck in. This type of actions are not observable by others, but it takes up a whole bunch of your time. For humans who have never learned the art of introspection, the external environment seems more real because we start to experience it as soon as we open our eyes in the morning. Our senses are bringing in information about the external world. But at any given moment, you're always experiencing two different environments, one that is outside of you and one that is inside. For simplicity's sake in my work, I reduce the internal environment to thoughts and feelings, and everything else is outside. When you are in victim mentality, you're actually giving away the power of your internal environment to something that is in the external. If you say such and such person really upset me, you have given your power of your emotional state to the other person. If you say the reason I'm unfortunate now is because I was abused as a child, you have given away all of your current power to your past. This is victim mentality. If you think it's difficult to create a successful business because of the current economy, if you think you can't be happy because your teenager doesn't listen to you, all of it examples of victim mentality. If you think colonialism is responsible for the current standing of the Ummah, you're practicing victim mentality, just on a larger scale. It is extremely crucial for us to identify this type of a mindset and to work out of it, because imagine all of the people with malintentions in the world. Their only job is to troll and to make other people's lives miserable and to bring suffering into the world. And then imagine you personally handing them all of your power to control your internal environment. They will have a field day with it. They will not let go of a single opportunity to quote-unquote press your buttons. So don't give them that license. Take that control back. And this is how you're going to do it. When I'm doing this work on myself, I actually sit down to weed out all of my victim thoughts. I do it through a thought output exercise that I teach you guys. It's where you sit down for 10 minutes and you write everything that comes in your head. If nothing is coming to you, start writing just the names of colors or numbers. Your thoughts will start to flow. When they come onto paper, after 10 minutes, you can start reflecting on things. The point of this thought output exercise is to see what is in your brain and recognize if subconsciously you're practicing victim mentality somewhere. After you've written for the 10 minutes, sit back and reflect on what is it that I've accidentally assigned my emotional power to. What am I being triggered by these days? The pandemic has me feeling helpless? Insurance companies not approving meds for my patients make me frustrated? Kids leaving the table without eating their veggies for the 20th time, is that making me angry? In each of these examples, emotions are attached to circumstances. Please recognize if this is happening anywhere in your life. I cannot dictate it for you. You have to recognize it for yourself. And you do that by doing this thought output exercise. So simply put, victim mentality results from you being triggered by the circumstance. My boss's feedback really made me angry. It was unprofessional, rude, and over the top. Guess who controls your emotions now? Your boss does. Byron Katie says that when someone shares their opinion about you, you could just allow it. Let other people have the opinion about you. It will save you so much mind drama. Because guess what? They already have that freedom. By thinking you can control their opinion of you, you're exercising control where you have none. And not only let them have an opinion about you, but let them be wrong about you. They have the freedom to say as many wrong things about you as they want. This is just you allowing reality to unfold as it is unfolding. You have the freedom to defend yourself, which is in your control, or you can try to block the other person from having an opinion, where you don't have any control. When you try and block reality from occurring, that is you wasting your time and energy. You will be running into life like a brick wall. All of this is a direct result of wiring in human beings that makes us extremely susceptible of changing our internal state based on what people are saying about us. That is the default programming. But we don't have to stay susceptible. This is the reason why victim mentality is extremely rampant, because it is the default practice, and the default is always easy. Default is that we can scroll on social media for hours. We can stuff our face with food to feel comfortable. We can stay on the couch and watch Netflix. Default is that we can stay in bed instead of going for a walk. The default is always easy, and victim mentality is default, which is why it comes so naturally. It is our job as conscious, intelligent, believing servants of Allah to transcend the default with our wisdom. This is what striving is. Sheikh Hamza Yusuf puts it beautifully. The default setting of a piece of technology is something that it comes pre-programmed with. But if you want to operate it to your liking, then you have to reprogram it according to the operating manual. Human beings come to earth with default setting of the nafs, wiring for victim mentality, and the operating manual to transcend this default is the Quran. Easily triggered, angered, upset comes extremely easily. That is not intelligence. The point of intelligence is to rise above it. You are no one's hero when you are blind and rage. That's an animalistic behavior. Separating from the rage is the superior skill. In the Quran, Surah Ash-Shura, part of Ayah 37, when they get angry, even then they forgive. How can you find it in yourself to forgive when you think that the other person's causing your anger? You can't. There's no room for it. As long as you're attached to the circumstance, forgiveness will not come to you as an option, because you will keep thinking that the anger is caused by someone else. When you correctly place the cause of your anger as your thoughts, then you are actually doing something about it. Example: my colleague makes me so angry because she blamed me for misplacing the files. Blame is on colleague. She has to change for you not to be angry. But if we correct the error in our thinking, we might say, colleague and the placement of the files is the circumstance. We have no control over that. I am thinking that she's blaming me, which is why I'm feeling angry. In that case, with the development of this skill, maybe you can learn to choose a different thought. Maybe she's right. Maybe she's wrong. Maybe you can empathize with her point of view. Maybe you can totally choose not to believe her. When you make space between your external and internal environment, you give yourself time to choose a response. Maybe then forgiveness will come to you. Or maybe it will just be curiosity about the other person's point of view. And don't judge yourself if you can't forgive. But at least take your power back by realizing that your thoughts are causing your anger. The default setting is an empty, mindless state of going through life, projecting your misgivings onto others. Surah 25, Ayah 63. And the true servants of the gracious God are those who walk on earth humbly, and when the ignorant address them, they avoid them gracefully by saying peace. Qalu salama, by saying peace. If an Islamophobe is shouting profanities at you and you continue to be triggered by their actions, or you continue to judge their actions that they shouldn't be doing that, how are you ever going to give yourself an option of saying peace? You are in a triggered state. You are assigning your emotional state to a person who intends to harm you. Your higher sage self, the wisdom of your fitrah, will be trying to protect you, but it will be smothered. It's going to try and tell you that saying peace is the right thing to do, but you can't hear it speak because you're so triggered. You are in victim mode. You are operating on the default of the easy, factory setting rather than adopting the manual of the Quran. In a Sahih Hadith, Ibn Umar reported, the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the believer who mixes with people and is patient with their harm has a greater reward than the believer who does not mix with people nor is patient with their harm. This is a world where people are placed here as a test. They will bother you, but your job is to take control of your internal world and rise above it. That is the work on this planet. that is what you're sent here to learn. If we don't learn that, other things and people will control our internal environment. Societal cultures and education system at large benefits from us never having learned this control. This way we can continue to turn outwards for answers. It is the default to be a victim. It is a default to be triggered. It is your job as a Muslimah to unlearn that wiring. If you find yourself in victim mentality and see that it is very common for you to assign your experience to somebody else, then don't judge yourself for it. Self-correction doesn't come from judgment. It comes from empathy for the self. Also, give yourself permission to be in that state, meaning you don't have to say, I am a victim or I have been a victim all this time. You say that I'm experiencing victim mentality because of what I'm thinking. You don't have to make it your identity. You can just say that this is what you're experiencing right now in the moment and just observe it. The quickest fix that I found for this victim mentality that I practice for myself and as a coach with my clients is that I never empathize with the circumstance. I will never empathize with how bad your life has been. Not because I'm heartless, but because if I do that, I'll be burying you deeper in your victim mentality. And like I said before, this is what the rest of the world does. Oh, poor you, this is what happened to you? I'm so sorry to hear that. Instead, what I will do is I will empathize with your thoughts. There's a huge difference. I will never say, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I will say, I can understand why you're thinking this way. I can understand why you might be in victim mentality. I will empathize with your thoughts. I will show you that your thoughts are where your power lies. If I continue to empathize with your circumstance feeling sorry for you, then I'm further hardwiring your default setting. Learn to do the same for yourself. Have empathy for your thoughts. Of course you're feeling sorry for yourself about what happened. Of course you're feeling angry because of your thoughts, because that's what the situation called for. But do not continue to feel sorry for yourself because of the past, or because somebody else mistreated you. That is the quickest fix to all victim mentality. You can do it by yourself with the concept I've given you in this podcast, or I highly encourage you to become a part of my program, which is very appropriately titled Empowered Muslim Women. In that program, I can work with you to filter out the thought errors and teach you how to carry that skill for the rest of your life, inshallah. Learning the operating manual takes time and dedication. Choose to dedicate at least 3 months of self-education and you will see a change, inshallah. You are worth the time that you invest in yourself. Put your oxygen mask on first so you can save others if you so choose. Fill your cup first so you can pour out of it for others if you so choose. I will leave the link for my program in the show notes. With that, I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all the blessings that He has given us. I pray that He gives us the wisdom to see His signs and recognize that everything that is a test for us is a means for us to get closer to Him. O Allah, I ask that you help this ummah break the chains of victimhood, because there are forces out there that are acting to keep Muslims in the dark. I pray for your strength against these forces, and I pray for all of us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it easy for us to counteract the default. O Allah, I pray for your mercy on this ummah and the world in general. Please keep me in your du'as. I will talk to you guys next time.
If you're interested in getting coached by me, I'm offering a very affordable opportunity to do that with Wisdom Wednesdays. This is not a course, not a lecture. This is an opportunity for live coaching, real change with Islamic adab and etiquette. You do not need more information. You actually need a space to create change. At $19.99 a month, which is the price of takeout dinner, you as a Muslim woman will create confidence, intimacy, and connection without shame or fear of judgment, because your privacy is my highest priority. So join at www.islamiclifecoachschool.com, resources, Wisdom Wednesdays. I'll see you inside, inshallah.